This is a field audit of AuraOS, 50 formal claims, one author, 6 weeks of development. We cloned a repository, ran the code, read all 8 disclosure papers, and tested the flagship claim empirically. The verdict up front: the code is real, the claims are unreviewed, and the right posture is to lift patterns and never import a line. Here is how we got there. Start with what AuraOS is not. It is not an operating system. It is a solo developer's agent orchestration framework. Roughly 240,000 lines of Python across 600 files, all sitting flat in the repository root. It routes work across multiple language model providers, parses intent through finite state transducers inspired by Ojibwe grammar, and wraps everything in a governance layer of arenas, gates, and capability leases. The genuine origin, and honestly the best part, is an Anishinaabe language learning system built by Dallas Corshi of Long Plain First Nation in Manitoba. Everything else accreted around it. Fast. How fast? The repository was created June 10th. By July 22nd, it held 1,176 commits. That is 28 commits a day, every day for 6 weeks, from a single human account plus 2 bots. This is high-velocity AI-assisted development, and the artifacts confirm it. Community traction, 3 stars, 0 forks, 0 releases. Bus factor of 1. Whatever this project is, it is one person and a coding assistant moving at maximum speed. The 8 papers are the claims ledger, all self-deposited on Zenodo, which is CERN's open archive. Anyone can upload anything and receive a DOI. There is no peer review, and these papers have 0 citations and about 30 views each. Read in order, they document the author sobering up in real time. Paper 1 promises a sovereign edge operating system with 90% token compression. Papers 2 through 4 escalate into RAM-stake blockchains, replacing the Internet's addressing system and memristor hardware. Paper 7 is an explicit retreat. It says its own purpose is narrowing the earlier claims. And Paper 8, published the day before this audit, quietly describes governance architecture, which is the only thing that matches the actual code. You do not have to take our word for the gap, because the repository audits itself. Its own internal claims analysis admits 5 of 30 claims implemented, 24 not, and that produces the sharpest finding in this entire audit. Paper 4 asserts its memristor training systems are implemented within a 4 GB edge constraint. Memristor crossbar arrays are exotic research hardware the author cannot possess, and the project's own document lists those exact claims as not implemented. A public disclosure contradicted by its own codebase. Credit where due, though publishing an honest gap analysis at all is rare in this genre. The security picture splits cleanly. On the pass side, no hard-coded secrets anywhere. The only key-shaped strings are test fixtures verifying that keys never leak, which is genuinely good practice. Outbound traffic is enumerable and benign. Dependencies are small and pinned. The tests we ran passed 13 for 13. On the disqualified side, by our standing supply chain rules, a 4 MB compiled binary committed straight into source unaudible, a build script that clones a dependency unpinned from head, a license that GitHub reads as none while the papers claim AGPL, which is network copyleft, meaning contamination risk for any commercial service touching this code, and a rotation pool of API keys built to dodge rate limits. Any one of these ends the import conversation. Together they ended emphatically. We did not stop at reading. Claim 1, the headline, promises 60 to 90% token compression. So we ran the shipped codec on real source files and measured. In lossy summary mode, it hits 67 to 82% inside the claimed range. But the fidelity score in that mode is 0.59, below the codec's own warning threshold of 0.68. The code flags its own headline number. In the faithful mode you would actually use, reduction drops to between 36 and 62%. And here is the kicker. The paper describes compressing human conversation. What shipped compresses Python code structure? That is a repo map. Every serious coding agent already does this. Competent implementation, honest instrumentation, 0 novelty. The papers wrap everything in a legal theory, publish under AGPL Section 13, and no corporation may ever capture the technology. That theory is wrong on its face. Copyright licenses bind code and text, they do not bind ideas. Anyone can read these papers today and build proprietary cleanroom implementations of every concept legally tomorrow. What survives is narrower, time-stamped prior art that blocks others from patenting these ideas, and only where the disclosure is specific enough to enable. The wildest papers are conceptual sketches. Weak enablement makes a weak shield. A fair audit names what deserves respect, and three things do. First, the governance instincts. Human-gated merge authority, capability leases, append-only audit trails. The right lessons about agent safety, absorbed early. Second, the Ojibwe language work. Careful morphology, dialect handling, consent registries. It is the most valuable stratum of the whole project. Third, self-honesty. The Codec reports its own failures, and the Repo publishes its own gaps. That is more candor than most funded startups manage. So what do we actually do with this? Three clean room patterns re-implemented in our own code and nothing imported. 1. Secret redaction regression tests. Plant fake keys in payloads and assert they never appear in any output. About an hour of work against our orchestrator and publishing pipeline, and the highest value item on this list. 2. Egress capsules. Every outbound payload declares its purpose, destination, and budget at the tool layer, which extends our existing validation gate doctrine to network traffic. 3. An endpoint evidence ledger. Per endpoint cost, latency, and drift recorded as replayable evidence gating routing changes. That formalizes discipline we already practice informally. Bottom line, AuraOS is a real solo effort with unreviewed claims. Nothing to adopt, three things to learn from, and if it crosses your feed with grander framing, the rebuttal fits in one breath. Paper 4 claims implementation of hardware its own repository says does not exist, and the license Forcefield protects nothing but the PFs. The full audit trail lives in the brain. Slide captures July 22, 2026.